the pure existential universe. I mean, Marcello Ficino said man is to be the measure of all things. Well, this sounds like old hat in 1990, but in 1480, this was such a dizzying notion that it can hardly be imagined. Giordano Bruno went to the stake, was burned at the stake for insisting that the universe was infinite in all directions. He said, no, the stars and planets go on to infinity. And they just said, this is off the wall. Only a demon could inspire a thought like this. But the transition that we're asked to make, that was a transition, you see, from the certitude of dogma to secular existentialism. The transition that we're being asked to make is somewhat similar, but to my mind, deeper, more challenging, more profound. It's the shift from scientific certitude to a complete embracing of non-closure, to actually begin. It's a kind of maturity. What we're being asked to do is to grow up and realize that, there ain't no free lunch. There aren't always happy endings. Not every story ends with the German Shepherd running in and licking Grandpa's face and everybody laughing, and so forth and so on. Hard truths. And this lack of closure thing, I feel it in myself. And I assume, that ontogeny recapitulates and so forth, so that, the struggle to become a real human being is the struggle to give up having it actually make any sense, ultimately. Where I think it was, of all people, Robert Frost who said, the secret of a happy life is learning to enjoy people you don't approve of. Well, there's something, what that means is you're surrendering to life. You're just saying, it's bigger than I am. I may not like drag queens, but there they are, and I should get used to it. I should make the adjustment. This kind of thing. In other words, recognizing the complexity of the situation. And science has been like a centuries-long bender to exorcise precisely this kind of uncertainty from life. And, to reduce it all to atoms blindly running under the control of mathematically describable fields of force. The problem is, all the higher order phenomena, sociological, political, aesthetic, human organizational, got shoved off to one side and just sort of festered there for a long time while technology perfected itself, mass production, mass media, information transfer, but the human dimension lagged. And now there is this tremendous imbalance between the technological descriptive power of the culture and its moral and ethical power to direct itself toward any kind of rational goal. Well, when this happens in a society or even in a personality, you can sort of make a Jungian model of this, you get what's called compensatory phenomena, or at least that's what it used to be called, means eruptions of material from the unconscious that is organized and constellated like a message, like an attention-claiming thing. In a person, in a personality, it ruptures as a symptom. It may be an attention-getting symptom to then bring other people into the caregiving loop or something like that. In a society like our own, a scientific society, it takes the form of the irrational appearing in strange forms. A good example of this in the past is the birth of Christianity in the center of the early Middle Roman Empire, where, the people who were administering the world at that time were Romans educated by Greeks who were Epicurean atomists, not Platonists, not followers of Heraclitus or Pythagoras or any of the flashy folks we're into. They were Democritean atomists, rationalists, materialists, would have been very comfortable in a modern chemical engineering company. And they could not conceive that the irrational could hold any threat to their world. Meanwhile, they had dark-skinned servants in the kitchens and in the gardens, Jews, Greeks, Phoenicians, people brought from the eastern Mediterranean. And among these people, specifically the Jews, this rumor began to tear loose about a Galilean politician who had somehow tweaked the Romans and then risen from the dead. Well, any Roman administrator listening to his illiterate cook or gardener babble out this story would just, think, these folks is getting stranger every day. But what was actually happening, was a message was being enunciated which within 50 years would be hammering at the gate, well, make it 90 years, would be hammering at the gates of Rome with all the power of an invading army.